After 4 years of building the marketing department from scratch, my mother-in-law announced her nephew would be taking over as creative director. He had just graduated college last month. I handed in my resignation with a smile that could cut glass. "Congratulations to Tyler," I said. When Elena read my letter, her face went white, then red, then back to white again. "You're being dramatic, Victoria," she stammered. But we both knew I wasn't. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and broken dreams when Elena Martinez stood at the head of the mahogany table. She was wearing her power suit, the navy Armani that she reserved for board meetings and family executions. "I'm excited to announce our new creative director," she began, her voice carrying that rehearsed tone she used when she was about to destroy someone's life with corporate speak. "Tyler Martinez will be joining our leadership team effective immediately." Tyler. Her sister Carmen's boy, who had just walked across a graduation stage 3 weeks ago with a degree in communications and absolutely zero real-world experience. I sat frozen in my chair, my hands gripping my portfolio so tight I could feel my knuckles going white. For years of 70-hour weeks, of turning this struggling boutique marketing firm into a powerhouse that competed with agencies 3 times our size. 4 years of building campaigns that won awards, secured million-dollar clients, and put Martinez Creative Solutions on the map. The polite applause around the table sounded like rain on a tin roof, hollow and temporary. I couldn't bring myself to clap. My hands stayed locked around my portfolio, like it was the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. "Victoria has done amazing work building our creative foundation," Elena continued, her dark eyes avoiding mine completely. "I know she'll be instrumental in helping Tyler transition into his new role." Transition. Help. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. I forced my lips into what I hoped resembled a smile and managed a few slow claps. The sound echoed in the sudden quiet of the room, each clap feeling like a nail in the coffin of my career. Tyler stood up, all 6 feet of entitled privilege wrapped in a suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his smile practiced from years of family gatherings where everything was handed to him on a silver platter. "Thank you, Annalena. I'm really looking forward to learning from Victoria's expertise as we take the company in new directions." New directions. Learning from my expertise. The corporate buzzwords made my stomach turn. This wasn't about new directions. This was about a 22-year-old kid getting handed the keys to the kingdom I'd built stone by stone. Before I continue, I want to thank you for watching these important stories about workplace injustice. If you believe hard work should matter more than family connections, please hit that subscribe button. It's free and helps us share these stories with more people who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. After the announcement, Elena asked me to stay behind. The conference room emptied slowly, colleagues shooting me sympathetic glances as they filed out. Some patted my shoulder. Others couldn't see my eyes at all. When the door clicked shut, Elena turned to me with what she probably thought was a motherly expression. We'd known each other for 8 years, since I started dating her son Marcus in college. She'd watched me grow from a nervous art student into a confident marketing professional. But sitting across from her now, I felt like a stranger. "Victoria, I know this might come as a surprise." "A surprise?" I kept my voice level, professional. "Elena, 3 months ago you told me the creative director position was being created specifically for me. You said it was a natural progression of my role here." She shifted in her chair, her manicured fingers playing with the gold chain around her neck. "Business needs change, dear. Tyler brings fresh perspective. He has new ideas about digital marketing, social media trends. I've been managing our digital campaigns for 2 years. Our social media engagement is up 400% since I took over that department." "Yes, but Tyler understands the younger demographic better. He's closer to their age, speaks their language." I stared at her, processing what she was really saying. At 28, I was apparently too old to understand young people. Tyler, at 22, was the voice of a generation I'd been successfully marketing to for years. "Elena, can I ask you something directly?" "Of course." "Is this about my relationship with Marcus?" Her eyes flashed, just for a second, with something that might have been guilt. Marcus and I had been going through a rough patch. We'd been arguing more, talking less, and I suspected Elena knew about the couple's counseling we'd started. This is purely a business decision, Victoria. Tyler is family, and family businesses need family leadership. There it was. The truth wrapped in corporate speak. I wasn't family, not really. I was the girlfriend who'd stuck around longer than expected, who'd proven useful for a while, but who could be discarded when someone more convenient came along. I see. I stood up, gathering my things with deliberate calm. Well, I should get back to work. Those new campaigns won't create themselves. Victoria, I hope you'll support Tyler during this transition. Your experience will be invaluable to him. I paused at the door, my hand on the handle. Of course. I'm always happy to train my replacement. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with implication. Elena's face went pale as she realized what she'd just asked me to do. That evening, I sat in my car in our driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. The house Marcus and I shared was a small craftsman bungalow that we'd been slowly renovating together. Tonight, it felt like a museum of a relationship that was already over. Marcus was in the kitchen, heating up leftover Thai food. His sandy brown hair was messy from running his hands through it, something he did when he was stressed about work. He managed the IT department at a mid-sized firm downtown, and while he made decent money, it was nothing compared to what his mother's company generated. "How is the big announcement?" he asked without looking up from the microwave. I set my bag down on the counter and studied his profile. We'd been together for 8 years, living together for 3. I thought I knew every expression on his face, but the careful neutrality he wore now was unfamiliar. "You already know, don't you?" The microwave beeped. Marcus pulled out the container and finally met my eyes. "Mom mentioned she was considering Tyler for a leadership role." "When?" "Last week." "Last week." I repeated the words slowly, letting them sink in. "You've known for a week that your mother was planning to pass me over for the job she promised me, and you didn't think to mention it." Marcus set down the food container and rubbed his face with both hands. "Vic, I didn't know she was going to announce it today. I thought it was just an idea she was playing with." An idea she was playing with. My voice was getting louder, but I couldn't seem to control it. "Marcus, this is my career. This is our future. How could you not tell me?" "Because I knew you'd react like this." "React like what?" "Like someone who's been betrayed by her boyfriend's family? Like someone who just watched 4 years of work get handed to a college graduate." Marcus moved closer, reaching for my hands. "Tyler's a good kid, Vic. He's smart, eager to learn. Maybe this could be good for you too. You could mentor him, help shape the future of the company." I pull my hands away. "Listen to yourself. You sound just like your mother." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you both think I should be grateful for the scraps. Happy to train my replacement and pretend it's an opportunity." We stared at each other across the kitchen island that we'd picked out together 6 months ago. The silence stretched between us, filled with 8 years of shared history and the growing realization that maybe we wanted different things from life. "My mom owns the company, Vic. She gets to make these decisions." "And you support her decision?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "I support my family." His words hit me like a physical blow. After 8 years, I still wasn't family. I was the outsider who could be sacrificed for the greater good of the Martinez clan. I barely slept that night. Marcus and I went to bed without resolving anything, lying on opposite sides of our king-size bed like strangers. Around 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and moved to the living room with my laptop. If I was going to leave Martinez Creative Solutions, I needed to do it right. I opened a new document and began typing my resignation letter, but the words felt inadequate. How do you professionally express 4 years of betrayal? Instead, I found myself creating something else, a comprehensive document detailing every major campaign I developed, every client relationship I'd built, every process I'd implemented. If Tyler was going to take over my job, he was going to need to understand exactly what that job entailed. The Riverside hotel account alone had taken me 6 months to secure. I'd pitched them 4 times, reworked our proposal twice, and personally managed their grand reopening campaign that resulted in a 200% increase in bookings. The campaign won 3 industry awards and brought in 5 new hospitality clients. Then there was the Rodriguez law firm rebrand. When they came to us, they were a small family practice losing clients to flashier competitors. I developed a campaign that positioned them as the neighborhood law firm that actually cared about their community. Their client base tripled in 18 months. By sunrise, I had a 47-page document that represented the foundation of Martinez Creative Solutions' success. Every strategy, every client insight, every hard-won lesson was documented with clinical precision. I also had my resignation letter, short, professional, and final. I arrived at the office early, before anyone else. The building was quiet, just the hum of air conditioning and the distant sound of traffic from the street below. Our office occupied the 3rd floor of a converted warehouse in the Arts District, Elena's attempt to seem hip and creative. My office was a corner space with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the sculpture garden next door. I'd decorated it carefully over the years with artwork from local artists we'd worked with, a few industry awards, and photos from successful campaign launches. This morning, it felt like a shrine to a life I was about to leave behind. I printed out my resignation letter and the transition document, placing both in crisp white envelopes. Then I began the methodical process of backing up my personal files and removing my personal items from the office. Elena arrived at 9:15, her usual time. I watched from my window as her silver Mercedes pulled into her reserved parking spot. She moved with the confidence of a woman who owned the world, or at least this small corner of it. At exactly 10 o'clock, I knocked on her office door. "Come in." Elena looked up from her computer, her reading glasses perched on the end of her nose. "Victoria, good. I was hoping we could discuss Tyler's transition plan." I placed the resignation letter on her desk without a word. Elena stared at the envelope for a long moment before picking it up with trembling fingers. She opened it slowly, read it twice, then looked at me with something approaching panic. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Victoria, this is emotional. You're upset about yesterday, I understand, but quitting is not the solution." I remained standing, my hands clasped behind my back. "This isn't an emotional decision, Elena. It's a business decision. I've been offered a better opportunity elsewhere." That was a lie, but it sounded better than I refused to train my 22-year-old replacement. "What opportunity? Who offered you a position?" "I'd rather not say until everything is finalized." Elena stood up, moving around her desk to face me directly. "Victoria, you're like a daughter to me. You know that, right? This family business needs people like you. Then you should have promoted people like me." The words hung between us, sharp and final. Elena's face cycled through several emotions: surprise, hurt, anger, and finally, resignation. "What about Tyler? He's counting on your guidance." I placed the second envelope on her desk. "This contains detailed documentation of every campaign, client relationship, and process I've developed here. Tyler will have everything he needs to understand what this position actually requires. And if he has questions, I'm sure he'll figure it out. He's smart and eager to learn, right?" Elena's face flushed red. "You're being vindictive." "I'm being professional. My last day will be Friday. That gives me 1 week to wrap up my active projects and ensure a smooth transition." I turned to leave, but Elena's voice stopped me. "Marcus doesn't know about this, does he?" I paused, my hand on the door handle. "Marcus will understand that I need to do what's best for my career." "Victoria, please. Let's discuss this rationally. What would it take to make you stay?" I turned back to face her, and for a moment, I saw vulnerability in her eyes. Elena Martinez was a formidable businesswoman who'd built this company from nothing after her husband died. But she was also a mother who was watching her family fall apart. "Nothing," I said quietly. "There's nothing you could offer me now that would make me stay." Word traveled fast in our small office. By lunch, everyone knew I was leaving. The reactions varied. Some colleagues seemed genuinely shocked. Others looked like they'd been expecting this moment since yesterday's announcement. Tyler appeared in my office doorway around 2 o'clock, looking uncertain and young. Without his graduation confidence, he seemed like what he was, a kid who was in way over his head. "Victoria, can we talk?" I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "Of course. I heard about your resignation. I hope it's not because of me." I studied his face, looking for signs of the entitled attitude I'd expected. Instead, I saw genuine concern and something that might have been embarrassment. "Tyler, this isn't personal. It's a career decision. But you're leaving because I got the creative director position, right?" His directness surprised me. "Partly, yes. I didn't ask for this job, you know. Aunt Elena just called me last week and said she had an opportunity for me." "What did you think that opportunity would be?" Tyler shifted in his chair. "I thought maybe an entry-level position. Junior account coordinator or something." I never expected. He gestured around my office. "This." For the first time since yesterday's announcement, I felt something other than anger. Tyler might be Elena's nephew, but he hadn't orchestrated this betrayal. He was just a young graduate who'd been offered a job by his aunt. "Tyler, can I give you some advice?" "Please." "This job isn't just about having creative ideas. It's about understanding client psychology, managing complex projects, building relationships that take years to develop. The creativity is only about 30% of what a creative director actually does." I'm starting to realize that. He looked around my office, taking in the client files, the project timelines, the wall of campaign materials. Would you be willing to help me understand what I'm walking into?" I was quiet for a long moment. Tyler wasn't my enemy, Elena was. And maybe helping him succeed would be the best way to protect the team I was leaving behind. "I'll do what I can during my remaining time here." Relief flooded his face. "Thank you. I know this situation is messed up. I know you deserve this position more than I do." His honesty was disarming. "Tyler, you might grow into this role eventually. But right now, you need to understand that you're about to be responsible for million-dollar accounts and a team of people whose livelihoods depend on your decisions." That's terrifying. It should be. I didn't tell Marcus about my resignation immediately. Instead, I spent the evening researching potential employers and polishing my portfolio. When he came home from work, I was at the kitchen table with my laptop, surrounded by printed campaign samples and industry magazines. "Working late?" he asked, kissing the top of my head automatically. "Something like that." Marcus grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat down across from me. "How was Tyler's first day?" "Mom said he was excited to get started." I looked up from my laptop. "I wouldn't know. I resigned this morning." Marcus nearly choked on his beer. "You what?" "I quit. I turned in my resignation letter to your mother at 10 a.m. "Victoria, please tell me this is a joke." "Do I look like I'm joking?" Marcus set down his beer and stared at me. "You quit your job? Without discussing it with me first? Like you discussed Tyler's promotion with me?" "That's different. That was Mom's decision. And this is mine." We stared at each other across the table, the silence heavy with unspoken accusations. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Vic, this is crazy. You love that job. You've worked so hard to build something there." "I love the job. I thought I had. Turns out I was just keeping the seat warm for your cousin." "Tyler's not my cousin. He's my cousin-in-law. And he's a good guy." "I'm sure he is. That doesn't make him qualified to run a creative department." Marcus stood up and began pacing around the kitchen. "You're throwing away 4 years of work because you didn't get promoted. Do you realize how that sounds? It sounds like someone who knows her worth and refuses to accept less. It sounds like someone who's letting pride make her decisions." His words stung because part of me wondered if he was right. Was I being prideful? Or was I finally standing up for myself? "Marcus, do you think I deserve that promotion?" "It doesn't matter what I think. It matters to me." He stopped pacing and looked at me directly. "Yes, based on experience and track record, you probably deserved it more than Tyler." "Then why aren't you supporting my decision to leave?" "Because you're my girlfriend and you just quit your job without telling me. Because we have a mortgage and bills and a life together. Because running away isn't the answer to every problem." "I'm not running away. I'm moving towards something better." "What's something better?" You don't have another job lined up. He was right, and we both knew it. I was jumping without a net, driven by hurt and anger more than careful planning. I'll find something. Will you? You've been at Martinez Creative for 4 years. What if Mom blacklists you in the industry? What if other agencies see you as disloyal? The thought had occurred to me, but hearing Marcus' voice, it made it real. Elena had connections throughout the city's marketing and advertising community. One phone call from her could close doors I hadn't even thought to consider. Then I'll go somewhere she doesn't have influence. Like where? I don't know yet. Maybe I'll start my own agency. Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. With what money? With what clients? Vic, you're talking about throwing away everything we've built together. What we've built. Or what I've built while you watched your family take credit for it. That hit home. Marcus's face went red, and for a moment, I thought he might actually defend me. Instead, he picked up his beer and headed for the living room. I need to think about this, he said. This affects both of us, and you made the decision alone. I watched him go, realizing that our relationship might be another casualty of Elena's family-first mentality. My final week at Martinez Creative Solutions was surreal. I continued working on active campaigns while documenting everything for Tyler's transition. Elena avoided me entirely, communicating through email when necessary. The rest of the team walked on eggshells, unsure how to act around someone who was leaving under such circumstances. Tyler, to his credit, took our transition meetings seriously. He asked intelligent questions and took detailed notes. Slowly, I began to understand that he wasn't entirely unqualified, just inexperienced and overwhelmed. The Morrison Hotel chain is our most demanding client, I explained during one of our sessions. They want weekly reports, monthly strategy reviews, and immediate responses to any concerns. They're also our most profitable account. What happens if I mess up their campaign? You probably will mess up at least once. The key is how you handle the mistake. Own it, fix it fast, and learn from it. You're being really generous with your advice, considering the circumstances. I looked at Tyler, sitting in my chair, surrounded by my files and campaign materials. In a few days, this would all be his responsibility. Tyler, I don't want you to fail. These campaigns represent months of work by talented people. Our clients trust us with their brands, their reputations. I might be angry at Elena, but I'm not going to sabotage the work just to prove a point. Still, this can't be easy. It's not. But taking my anger out on you, or the clients, wouldn't solve anything. Wednesday afternoon, I had lunch with Maria Santos, our senior graphic designer and my closest friend at the company. We went to the little cafe around the corner, where we'd eaten countless lunches together over the past 4 years. I still can't believe you're really leaving, Maria said, picking at her salad. I can't believe I stayed as long as I did. What are you going to do? Honestly, I have no idea. I've been sending out resumes, but I haven't heard back from anyone yet. Maria was quiet for a moment. Victoria, there's something you should know. Elena's been making calls. My stomach dropped. What kind of calls? Jenny in accounting overheard her talking to someone at Davidson and Associates yesterday. Elena was, let's say she wasn't recommending you for employment. Davidson and Associates was one of the city's top marketing firms. I'd sent them my resume 3 days ago. What exactly did she say? Something about you being unreliable under pressure and having difficulty working with family businesses. I set down my fork, my appetite gone. Elena wasn't just letting me leave, she was actively sabotaging my career prospects. Maria, I need you to keep your ears open, okay? If you hear about any other calls Elena's making, I need to know. Of course. Victoria, this is so unfair. It's business, I said, echoing Elena's words from earlier in the week. Apparently, this is how family businesses protect themselves. Friday arrived gray and rainy, which seemed appropriate for my last day at Martinez Creative Solutions. I spent the morning boxing up my personal items and deleting files from my computer. The walls of my office looked bare without my artwork and awards. Tyler appeared in my doorway around 11 o'clock, looking nervous. I brought coffee, he said, holding up 2 cups from the cafe downstairs. Figured we should have one last transition meeting. I accepted the coffee gratefully. What do you want to know? Everything you haven't told me yet. We spent 2 hours going through the subtle aspects of client management, how to read between the lines in emails, which clients needed extra attention during stressful campaigns, how to manage the creative team's personalities and work styles. Sarah responds well to direct feedback, I explained. But David needs suggestions framed as questions. Instead of saying, this design doesn't work, try, what if we explored a different color palette? This is like learning a foreign language. It is, in a way. Every client, every team member, every campaign has its own language. Your job is to become fluent in all of them. Tyler was quiet for a moment, staring at the notes he'd filled over the past week. Victoria, I know this doesn't change anything, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got caught in family politics. I'm sorry I benefited from something that hurt you. Tyler, you didn't create this situation. You just happened to be Elena's nephew when she decided she needed family leadership. Still, it's not right. No, it's not. But what matters now is how you handle the responsibility you've been given. At 3 o'clock, Elena finally made an appearance in my office. She looked uncomfortable and older than I'd ever seen her. Victoria, I wanted to say goodbye properly. I stood up from my desk chair for the last time. Elena, I hope you'll reconsider this decision. There's still time to change your mind. No, there isn't. She nodded slowly, accepting what we both knew was final. I want you to know that your contributions to this company will always be appreciated. Will they? I couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. Because I heard you've been making calls to other agencies, and appreciation isn't exactly how I describe those conversations. Elena's face flushed. I don't know what you mean. Davidson and Associates. Unreliable under pressure. Difficulty working with family businesses. For a moment, Elena looked genuinely ashamed. Then her business mask slipped back into place. I have to protect my company's interests, Victoria. You understand that. I understand exactly what you're doing. The question is whether you understand what you're destroying. I picked up my box of personal items and headed for the door. Elena stepped aside to let me pass. Victoria, wait. I turned back one last time. For what it's worth, I never wanted it to end this way. Then you shouldn't have started it this way. The weekend was a blur of alternating between fury and despair. Marcus and I barely spoke, both of us processing what my resignation meant for our relationship and our future. He spent Saturday at his mother's house, presumably getting her version of events. I spent it updating my LinkedIn profile and researching companies outside Elena's sphere of influence. Sunday evening, as I was making dinner alone, my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. Victoria Hayes? Speaking. This is Jennifer Walsh from Pinnacle Marketing Group. I received your resume earlier this week, and I was hoping we could schedule a conversation. Pinnacle Marketing Group was based 2 hours north in Sacramento, far enough from Elena's influence to be safe, successful enough to be a real opportunity. I'd be very interested in speaking with you. Excellent. I have to tell you, your portfolio is impressive. That campaign you did for Rodriguez Law Firm? Brilliant positioning. Would Tuesday afternoon work for a phone interview? Tuesday would be perfect. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks, hope. Maybe Elena's blacklisting wouldn't destroy my career after all. Maybe there were opportunities beyond her reach. Marcus came home around 8 o'clock, looking exhausted and conflicted. How is your mother's? I asked, not looking up from my laptop. Complicated. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table. She's worried about you. I'm sure she is. Vic, she says she never meant for you to feel unwanted. She thought you'd stay and help build Tyler into the leader the company needs. I looked at Marcus directly. Do you believe that? I want to. That's not the same thing. Marcus rubbed his face with both hands. She's my mother, Vic. This is tearing our family apart. Your family was torn apart the moment she chose nepotism over merit. I just made the damage visible. What about us? What about our family? I closed my laptop and studied the man I'd loved for 8 years. I don't know, Marcus. I honestly don't know. Tuesday's phone interview with Jennifer Walsh lasted 2 hours. We discussed my campaign strategies, my management philosophy, and my vision for creative marketing in an evolving digital landscape. By the end of the call, I felt more energized about work than I had in months. Victoria, I'd like to bring you to Sacramento for an in-person interview with our leadership team. We're looking for someone to head up our new regional division, and your experience building departments from the ground up is exactly what we need. I'd be very interested in exploring that opportunity. Wonderful. How's Thursday for you? Thursday. 2 days away. I could drive to Sacramento Thursday morning, interview all day, and be back by evening. Marcus would probably see it as another betrayal, another decision made without consulting him. Thursday works perfectly. After the call, I sat in my empty office. I'd been working from home since leaving Martinez Creative and allowed myself to imagine a different future. A future where my ideas were valued, where advancement was based on performance rather than family connections, where I could build something meaningful again. My phone buzzed with a text from Maria. Tyler's struggling. Morrison Hotels is threatening to leave. Elena's panicking. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Not my problem anymore.
But it was a lie.
Even though I'd left Martinez Creative, I still cared about the campaigns I'd built, the clients I'd nurtured, the team I'd trained. Tyler's failure would mean other people's jobs, other people's livelihoods. Another text from Maria. Tyler asked if he could call you. I told him I'd ask. I thought about Tyler, sitting in my old office, probably drowning in responsibilities he wasn't prepared for. Then I thought about Elena's phone calls to other agencies, her attempts to destroy my reputation to protect her family's interests. Tell Tyler, he has my documentation. That should be enough. But even as I sent the message, I felt like I was abandoning people who'd never abandoned me. The drive to Sacramento Thursday morning was beautiful. Rolling hills, clear skies, and the open road stretching ahead like a metaphor for possibility. I dressed carefully in my best suit, the charcoal gray one that made me feel confident and professional. Pinnacle Marketing Group's offices occupied 2 floors of a modern building downtown. The reception area was bright and airy, with examples of their work displayed on sleek monitors throughout the space. Everything about the environment suggested innovation, success, and forward thinking. Jennifer Walsh met me in the lobby. She was probably in her early 40s, with prematurely gray hair and intelligent eyes that assessed everything around her. Victoria, welcome to Pinnacle. I'm excited to introduce you to the team. The next 6 hours were a whirlwind of meetings, presentations, and strategic discussions. I met with department heads, presented campaign concepts to the creative team, and had an extensive conversation with the CEO about their expansion plans. Every interaction reinforced my growing conviction that this was where I belonged. The questions were challenging but fair, the expectations were high but realistic, and most importantly, every person I met seemed genuinely interested in my ideas and experience. Our Sacramento office has been successful, explained CEO Robert Chin during our final meeting. But we want to expand into the Bay Area market. We need someone who understands that market, who has connections and credibility there. I've built my entire career in that market, I said. I know the competitive landscape, the client expectations, the talent pool. Jennifer mentioned that you built the creative department at your previous company from the ground up. Tell me about that experience. For the next hour, I walked Robert through my 4 years at Martinez Creative Solutions. I explained how I developed their brand identity, established their client acquisition process, and built a team that consistently delivered award-winning work. What made you leave such a successful situation? I'd prepared for this question, but Robert's direct gaze made me want to be completely honest. The company prioritized family connections over professional qualifications for a senior position. I realized I could either accept being passed over indefinitely or find an environment that values merit. Robert nodded slowly. Family businesses can be challenging that way. How do we know you won't leave us if a better opportunity comes along? Because I'm not looking for just any opportunity. I'm looking for the right opportunity. A place where I can build something meaningful, where my contributions are valued, and where advancement is earned rather than inherited. I was driving back toward the city, when my phone rang. It was Jennifer Walsh. "Victoria, I hope you don't mind me calling so soon. The team was very impressed with you today. The feeling is mutual. Pinnacle seems like an incredible company. We'd like to make you an offer." I pulled into a rest stop, my heart racing. "I'm listening." "Regional Creative Director, based in our new San Francisco office. You'd be responsible for building the department, hiring your team, and developing our Bay Area client base. Starting salary is $130,000 plus performance bonuses, stock options, and a full benefits package." $130,000. That was almost double what I'd been making at Martinez Creative Solutions. "Jennifer, that's an incredible offer. We're also prepared to provide relocation assistance and a signing bonus to help with the transition." "What kind of timeline are you thinking?" "We'd like you to start in 3 weeks, if possible." "I know that's fast, but we're eager to get our Bay Area expansion moving." 3 weeks. I could start over completely, build something new, prove my worth to people who already seem to value it. "Can I have the weekend to think it over?" "Of course. But Victoria, I hope you'll seriously consider this. I think you could do amazing things here." After we hung up, I sat in my car watching traffic flow by on the highway. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. Elena's attempts to sabotage my career hadn't worked. There were opportunities beyond her reach, companies that cared more about talent than politics. I thought about Marcus, about the life we'd built together, about the choice I was being forced to make between my career and my relationship. Then I thought about Tyler, struggling in a job he wasn't prepared for, and Elena, learning that family loyalty only goes so far when business is failing. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply succeeding so completely that your absence becomes impossible to ignore. I drove home in silence, my mind cycling through everything that had happened over the past 2 weeks. The Sacramento interview had gone better than I'd dared hope, but accepting their offer would mean more than just changing jobs. It would mean leaving Marcus, leaving the life we'd built together, and starting completely over. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Marcus's car wasn't there. He'd been staying late at work more often lately, probably avoiding the tension that had settled over our home like fog. I sat in my car for a few minutes, gathering courage for the conversation I knew we needed to have. Inside, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. The offer letter from Pinnacle Marketing Group was still open in my email, the numbers glowing on the screen like a beacon of possibility. $130,000. Stock options. The chance to build something from the ground up, but this time with a company that actually valued my contributions. My phone buzzed with another text from Maria. "Emergency meeting tomorrow. Morrison Hotels officially terminated their contract. Elena is calling in crisis management consultants." Morrison Hotels. The account I'd spent 6 months building, the relationship I'd nurtured through countless meetings and strategy sessions. They were our second largest client, and losing them would be devastating for Martinez Creative Solutions. I found myself typing a response before I could stop myself. "What happened?" Maria's reply came quickly. "Tyler tried to implement new creative direction without consulting them first. They hated it, called it juvenile and completely off-brand. Elena tried to smooth things over, but they're done." I stared at the message, feeling a complicated mix of vindication and regret. I'd warned Elena this would happen. I'd tried to explain that Tyler wasn't ready for this level of responsibility. But she'd chosen family loyalty over professional judgment, and now the company was paying the price. Marcus came home around 9:30, looking exhausted and defeated. He found me still sitting at the kitchen table, my laptop open, wine glass half empty. "How was Sacramento?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. "They offered me the job." Marcus stopped in the doorway, his expression shifting from tired resignation to something approaching panic. "What kind of offer?" "Regional Creative Director. Double my old salary. Stock options. The chance to build a department from scratch in San Francisco." San Francisco. He said it like I'd announced I was moving to Mars. "That's 3 hours away. 2.5 with good traffic." "Victoria, you can't be serious." You're considering moving to San Francisco for a job. I closed my laptop and looked at him directly. I'm considering accepting an offer from a company that values my skills and experience. What about us? What about our life here? What life, Marcus? The one where your family treats me like an outsider? The one where my career gets sacrificed for your mother's convenience? Marcus sat down across from me, running his hands through his hair in that familiar gesture of stress. Vic, I know this situation with Tyler has been hard on you, but running away isn't the answer. I'm not running away. I'm running toward something better. Something better than 8 years together? Something better than the home we've built. I looked around our kitchen at the carefully chosen appliances and the photos on the refrigerator documenting our life together. 8 years of memories, of shared dreams and plans for the future. But those dreams had been built on the assumption that I would always come second to his family's interests. Marcus, I love you. I've loved you for 8 years. But I can't love you enough to make myself smaller so your family feels more comfortable. That's not what this is about. Isn't it? Your mother passed me over for a promotion I earned, then tried to sabotage my career when I wouldn't accept her decision quietly. And through all of it, you've defended her choices and made me feel like I'm being unreasonable for wanting better. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. What would it take for you to stay? What would make this right? Nothing. There's nothing she could do now that would fix this. The trust is broken, Marcus. I can't work for someone who sees me as disposable. So you'll throw away everything we have because of a work situation? I'll choose myself because no one else in your family will. The words hung between us, sharp and final. Marcus's face crumpled, and for a moment, I saw the college boy I'd fallen in love with, vulnerable, uncertain, caught between competing loyalties. I don't want to lose you, he whispered. Then come with me. The offer surprised us both. I hadn't planned to say it, but suddenly it seemed like the most obvious solution in the world. Come with you to San Francisco? Why not? You're in IT. Tech jobs are everywhere in the Bay Area. We could start fresh, away from your family's expectations and interference. Marcus stared at me like I'd suggested we join the circus. Leave my job? Leave my family? Victoria, my whole life is here. So was mine, until your family decided I didn't fit into their plans. I can't just abandon my mother's company when they're going through a crisis. The crisis they created by promoting an unqualified family member over someone who'd proven herself? Tyler's struggling, Vic. He needs support, not abandonment. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Even now, after everything that had happened, Marcus was more concerned about protecting his family than supporting me. Marcus, I'm not asking you to abandon anyone. I'm asking you to choose our future over your mother's business decisions. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. Do you want to build a life with me, or do you want to spend the rest of your relationship managing the fallout from your family's choices? Marcus stood up and began pacing around the kitchen, the same pattern he'd followed for weeks whenever we discussed his mother's company. This is all happening too fast. 2 weeks ago, everything was fine. Now you're talking about moving to San Francisco and asking me to abandon my career. 2 weeks ago, I thought I had a future at your mother's company. I thought I was part of your family. I was wrong about both. You are part of our family. No, Marcus. I'm part of your life. There's a difference, and your mother made that very clear when she chose Tyler over me. We stared at each other across our kitchen island, 8 years of shared history stretching between us like a bridge that was slowly crumbling. How long do I have to decide? Marcus asked finally. Pinnacle wants an answer by Monday. If I take the job, I start in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. 3 weeks to decide whether to follow my girlfriend to San Francisco or stay here with my family and my career. 3 weeks to decide what kind of future you want. Saturday morning, I woke up alone. Marcus had left early, presumably to spend the day with his mother discussing our situation. I made coffee and sat in our backyard, watching the fog roll over the hills and trying to imagine what my life might look like in 3 weeks. My phone rang around 10 o'clock. It was Tyler, and he sounded desperate. Victoria, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need help. Morrison Hotels fired us yesterday, and I think it's my fault. I sipped my coffee and considered hanging up. Then I thought about Maria and the rest of the team, people who'd never done anything wrong except work for a company owned by Elena Martinez. What happened, Tyler? I thought I could improve their brand identity. Make it more modern, more appealing to younger travelers. I presented a complete rebrand without running it by them first. You what? Despite everything, I was shocked by his poor judgment. Tyler, Morrison Hotels is a heritage brand. Their identity is built on tradition and classic service. Why would you think they wanted to appeal to younger travelers? I don't know. I thought I understood their market better than they did. The arrogance of youth, combined with the confidence that comes from never having to earn anything. It was a dangerous combination. Tyler, the first rule of client management is never surprise them with major changes. You always discuss, propose, get approval, then implement. I know that now. Victoria, is there any way to fix this? Any way to get them back? I was quiet for a long moment, thinking about Bill Morrison, the hotel chain CEO. I'd worked with him for over a year, building a relationship based on trust and understanding. He was a reasonable man, but he valued reliability above all else. Maybe. But it would require Elena to admit the rebrand was a mistake and guarantee that all future work would be approved by them before implementation. Do you think she'd do that? I think Elena would do whatever it takes to save $1 million account. The question is whether Morrison would trust her to manage you properly. Would you be willing to call Bill Morrison? You know him better than anyone. The request hung between us, loaded with implication. Tyler was asking me to save a client relationship for the company that had rejected me, to protect an account I'd built for people who decided I wasn't family enough to deserve advancement. Tyler, I don't work for Martinez Creative Solutions anymore. Morrison Hotels isn't my responsibility. I know. But those campaigns you built, the relationship you have with them, I know I screwed up, but other people are going to lose their jobs if I can't fix this. He was right. Maria, David, Sarah, and the rest of the creative team would suffer for Tyler's inexperience and Elena's poor judgment. They didn't deserve to be casualties in this family drama. I'll make one call, I said finally. But Tyler, this is the only favor you get from me. After this, you're on your own. Thank you. Victoria, I can't tell you how much this means to me. Don't thank me yet. I might not be able to fix this. I called Bill Morrison Saturday afternoon. His personal number was still in my phone from the countless strategy calls we'd had over the past year. Victoria, what a surprise. I heard you left Martinez Creative. I was sorry to hear that news.
Thank you, Bill.
I called because I heard about the situation with your account.
Ah.
His voice became more guarded. Yes, that was disappointing. I thought Elena understood our brand better than that. Bill, Tyler is Elena's nephew. He's 22 years old and graduated from college 3 weeks before he was promoted to creative director. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Are you telling me they put a recent college graduate in charge of our account? I'm telling you that Elena prioritized family loyalty over professional qualifications, and your account was the casualty. Jesus, Victoria. What was she thinking? I honestly don't know. But Bill, I want you to know that the rest of the team had nothing to do with this decision. Maria Santos, David Chun, Sarah Williams, they're all talented professionals who've worked hard on your campaigns. I know. I feel terrible about this affecting them, but I can't work with an agency that would put an inexperienced kid in charge of our brand. What if Elena guaranteed that all future work would be supervised and approved by her personally? What if Tyler was moved to a junior role where he could learn the business properly? Bill was quiet for a moment. Would you consider coming back to manage our account? The question caught me off guard. Bill, I've accepted a position with another agency. What agency? Pinnacle Marketing Group in Sacramento. I know Jennifer Walsh. Good woman. Excellent agency.
He paused.
Victoria, what would it take to get you back at Martinez Creative in a position where you could properly manage our account? That's not possible, Bill. Elena and I have fundamental disagreements about how the business should be run. What if Elena wasn't the issue? What if there was a way to ensure you had the authority you need to do your job properly? I didn't understand what he was suggesting, but something in his tone made me pay attention. Bill, what are you thinking? Morrison Hotels has been looking to acquire a marketing agency. We want to bring our advertising and brand management in-house, but we need the right team to make it work. My heart stopped. You're thinking about buying Martinez Creative Solutions? I'm thinking about buying their talent, their client relationships, their creative department.
He paused.
I'm thinking about making you an offer that would solve several problems at once. I spent Saturday night pacing around our house, Bill Morrison's words echoing in my mind. Morrison Hotels wanted to acquire a marketing agency, and they were specifically interested in the team I'd built at Martinez Creative Solutions. It was an opportunity I'd never imagined. A chance to keep working with people I cared about while getting the recognition and authority I deserved. Marcus came home late Saturday night, looking exhausted and conflicted. We had a brief, strained conversation about our future, but neither of us seemed ready to make final decisions. He went to bed early, and I stayed up researching Morrison Hotels' business expansion and corporate structure. Sunday morning, my phone rang early. It was Jennifer Walsh from Pinnacle Marketing Group. Victoria, I hope I'm not calling too early. I wanted to follow up on our offer and see if you had any questions. Actually, Jennifer, I do have a question. How flexible is Pinnacle about remote work and client acquisition? We're quite flexible, especially for senior positions. Why do you ask? I took a deep breath and explained Bill Morrison's proposal. Jennifer listened carefully as I outlined the potential acquisition opportunity and what it might mean for both Morrison Hotels and the marketing talent currently trapped at Martinez Creative Solutions. That's fascinating, Jennifer said when I finished. And it suggests some interesting possibilities. What do you mean? Victoria, what if Pinnacle partnered with Morrison Hotels on this acquisition? What if we provided the infrastructure and resources to make this work while you provided the creative leadership and client relationships? The idea was brilliant. Pinnacle had the financial resources and business infrastructure that Morrison Hotels would need to successfully acquire and integrate a marketing team. Morrison Hotels had the industry credibility and client base that would make the acquisition valuable. And I could serve as the bridge between both organizations, finally getting the recognition and authority I'd been denied at Martinez Creative Solutions. Jennifer, that could work for everyone involved. I think so too. Let me make some calls and see if we can set up a three-way conversation with Morrison Hotels. Are you available for a conference call tomorrow? Absolutely. After we hung up, I sat in our kitchen feeling something I hadn't experienced in weeks: excitement about the future. This wasn't just about leaving a bad situation anymore. This was about creating something new, something better, something that could benefit everyone except the people who'd created the problem in the first place. Marcus appeared in the kitchen around 10 o'clock, looking like he hadn't slept well. "Morning," he said, pouring himself coffee. "You're up early. I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday. And I think there might be another option we haven't considered." I explained Bill Morrison's proposal and Jennifer Walsh's suggestion about a three-way partnership. Marcus listened carefully, his expression shifting from confusion to understanding to something that might have been hope. "So, you wouldn't have to move to Sacramento?" "Not necessarily. If this partnership works out, I could potentially work here in the Bay Area while being employed by Pinnacle and managing Morrison Hotels marketing through an acquisition of talent from your mother's company." "What would happen to Martinez Creative Solutions?" "I don't know. That would depend on what Elena decides to do when her biggest client and most of her creative team are gone." Marcus was quiet for a long time, processing what this could mean for his family's business. Would you want Mom to lose her company?" I looked at him carefully. "Marcus, I don't want your mother to lose anything. But I also won't sacrifice my career to protect her from the consequences of her decisions. This could destroy her. Elena destroyed this situation when she chose nepotism over merit. I'm just refusing to be collateral damage anymore." Marcus nodded slowly, understanding finally dawning on his face. "You're not trying to hurt my family. You're trying to save your career." I'm trying to save myself. Your family will have to figure out how to save themselves. Monday morning arrived gray and drizzly, which seemed appropriate for what promised to be a day of major decisions. I woke up early and dressed carefully in my best business suit, the navy blue one that made me feel confident and professional. Marcus had already left for work, but he'd left a note on the kitchen counter. Whatever you decide today, I support you. I love you. It was the first time in weeks that he'd unequivocally taken my side, and I felt a surge of hope for our relationship. At 10 a.m., I joined a conference call with Jennifer Walsh and Bill Morrison. The conversation lasted 2 hours and covered everything from acquisition structures to employee transfers to client relationship management. The way I see it, Bill explained, Morrison Hotels acquires the creative talent and client relationships from Martinez Creative Solutions. Pinnacle provides the infrastructure and management support. Victoria leads the creative team as regional creative director for both companies. It's an innovative structure, Jennifer agreed. And it solves the geographic issue. Victoria could be based in San Francisco, managing Morrison's marketing while also developing Pinnacle's Bay Area presence. What about the existing team at Martinez Creative? I asked. Maria, David, Sarah, and the others? We'd offer positions to any talented individuals who want to make the transition, Bill said. From what you've told me, most of them would probably welcome the opportunity to work in a more stable environment. And Tyler? Tyler would need to find his own path. This acquisition would be about proven talent, not potential. By the end of the call, we had the framework for a deal that could work for everyone except Elena and Tyler. Morrison Hotels would acquire the creative team and client relationships from Martinez Creative Solutions. Pinnacle would provide infrastructure and support. I would lead the new organization as regional creative director, finally getting the title and authority I'd earned. Victoria, Bill said as we were wrapping up, I need to know if you're committed to this path. If we move forward, there's no going back. I thought about Elena's betrayal, Tyler's inexperience, Marcus's family loyalty, and my own dreams of professional recognition and growth. I'm committed, I said. Let's make this happen. Tuesday morning, Bill Morrison and Jennifer Walsh arrived at Martinez Creative Solutions unannounced. I wasn't there. We'd agreed that my presence would be inflammatory, but Maria texted me regular updates throughout the morning. Elena looks like she's seen a ghost, Maria wrote. They've been at her office for an hour. The next text came 20 minutes later. Tyler just came out of the meeting looking sick. He went straight to the bathroom. Then, Elena called an emergency all-hands meeting for 2 p.m. I spent the morning at home, pacing around our kitchen and checking my phone obsessively. Around noon, my phone rang. It was Elena. Victoria, we need to talk. I don't think we have anything to discuss, Elena. Morrison Hotels and Pinnacle Marketing Group just made me an offer for my creative team. They specifically mentioned you as the person who would lead the acquired talent. I know. You orchestrated this. Her voice was sharp with accusation. I responded to an opportunity, just like you did when you decided to promote Tyler over me. Victoria, this could destroy my company. Then you shouldn't have destroyed my career. Elena was quiet for a long moment. What would it take for you to call this off? What would make you stay? Nothing. There's nothing you could offer me now that would change my mind. I could make you creative director. I could give you the promotion you wanted. 2 weeks too late, Elena. And it wouldn't matter anyway. I'd still be working for someone who sees me as disposable. I could make you a partner. Give you equity in the company. The offer surprised me. 2 weeks ago, it would have been everything I wanted. Now, it felt like a desperate attempt to maintain control. Elena, you had the chance to do the right thing. You chose family loyalty over professional merit. Now you get to live with the consequences. Please, Victoria. Think about Marcus. Think about our relationship. Your family. No, I said quietly. I'm not family. You made that very clear when you promoted Tyler. Family is what you protect. I'm what you sacrifice. I hung up before she could respond. At 2 p.m., Elena stood in front of the entire Martinez Creative Solutions team and explained that Morrison Hotels and Pinnacle Marketing Group had made an offer to acquire the company's creative talent and client relationships. Maria texted me a summary. Elena tried to spin it as an opportunity for growth and expansion. But everyone knows what it really means. Half the team is already updating their resumes. Tyler, apparently, had fled the building entirely after the meeting ended. Around 4 o'clock, my phone rang again. This time it was Tyler. Victoria, I screwed up. I screwed up everything. Tyler, this isn't about you. Yes, it is. If I hadn't accepted the promotion, if I'd told Aunt Elena I wasn't qualified, none of this would have happened. If you hadn't accepted it, she would have found someone else in the family to promote. This was never about your qualifications. It was about her priorities. What happens to me if this acquisition goes through? I felt a moment of sympathy for him. Tyler might have benefited from Elena's nepotism, but he was also its victim. He'd been set up to fail in a job he wasn't prepared for. Tyler, you're young. You're smart. You'll find another opportunity, probably one that's actually appropriate for your experience level. Will you put in a good word for me anywhere? I'll give you an honest reference based on the work I've seen from you. But Tyler, you need to understand that the next job you get, you'll have to earn. I know. I'm starting to understand what you meant about earning advancement. After we hung up, I felt a complex mix of emotions. Tyler had been complicit in my professional betrayal, but he'd also been manipulated by family dynamics he didn't fully understand. Elena had used him as much as she'd discarded me. Wednesday morning brought the call I'd been waiting for. Bill Morrison's voice was triumphant when he announced that Elena had accepted their acquisition offer. She didn't have much choice, he explained. Half her team had already expressed interest in leaving, and Morrison Hotels represents 30% of her revenue. Without us, she'd have to lay off most of her staff anyway. What are the terms? Morrison Hotels acquires the creative talent, existing client relationships, and intellectual property. Elena keeps the Martinez Creative Solutions name and can continue operating with whatever staff remains. Everyone on the creative team gets offered positions with the new organization at salary increases of at least 20%. And Tyler? Tyler is not part of the acquisition. Elena can keep him if she wants to try rebuilding with family leadership. It was elegant revenge. Not destruction, but separation. Elena could keep her family business, but she'd have to rebuild it without the talent she'd taken for granted. The creative team would get better salaries and more stable leadership. Morrison Hotels would get the marketing expertise they needed. And I would finally get the recognition and authority I'd earned. When do we announce this to the team? Friday. We want to give Elena time to process what this means for her company before we start making individual offers to her employees. And my role? Regional Creative Director for Morrison Hotels' in-house marketing division, with oversight of Pinnacle's Bay Area expansion. You'll be managing the team you built, but this time with the title and compensation you deserve. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen feeling something I hadn't experienced in weeks. Complete satisfaction. Not the bitter satisfaction of revenge, but the deeper satisfaction of justice finally being served. Marcus came home early that evening, looking thoughtful and resolved. I heard about the acquisition, he said. Mom called me this afternoon. How is she taking it? Better than I expected, actually. I think part of her is relieved. That surprised me. Relieved? She's been struggling to manage the business side while Tyler figured out the creative side. She was in over her head and knew it. This lets her focus on what she does well while other people handle what she doesn't. And Tyler? Tyler's thinking about going back to school. Maybe getting an MBA, learning business from the ground up instead of trying to fake it. Marcus sat down across from me at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd had so many difficult conversations over the past few weeks. Victoria, I owe you an apology. For what? For not supporting you when my family was treating you unfairly. For making you feel like you had to choose between your career and our relationship. For putting family loyalty ahead of doing what was right. I looked at this man I'd loved for 8 years, seeing something in his eyes that I hadn't seen in weeks. complete honesty. Marcus, I never wanted to hurt your family. I know. You just wanted them to treat you fairly. That shouldn't have been too much to ask. What happens now? With us, I mean? Marcus reached across the table and took my hands. Now we figure out how to build a life together where your success doesn't threaten anyone, where your talents are celebrated instead of managed, where you never have to choose between being yourself and being part of a family. I'd like that.
Good.
Because I've been thinking about what you said about San Francisco, about starting fresh somewhere without family expectations and interference. And I think it sounds like an adventure. My company has a Bay Area office. I could probably transfer there, be closer to a new job. I stared at him, hardly believing what I was hearing. You'd move to San Francisco? Leave your mother's support system? Victoria, you are my support system.
You're my family.
It just took me too long to realize that family loyalty should flow both ways. We sat there holding hands across our kitchen table, planning a future that neither of us had imagined 2 weeks ago. Outside, the fog was rolling in from the bay, but for the first time in weeks, everything felt clear. The best revenge, I realized, wasn't revenge at all. It was building something so successful, so fulfilling, so completely right that the people who'd wronged you were forced to watch you thrive without them. Sometimes justice doesn't look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like a second chance, a better opportunity, and the satisfaction of knowing that merit finally triumphed over politics. Elena could keep her family business. Tyler could learn the value of earning advancement. And I could finally build the career I'd always deserved, with the man who'd finally learned to choose our future over his past. It was, in its own way, perfect.